we have a quorum. Alderman Davis. Good. How are you? Good to see you. Okay, I'm going to, since I'm already standing, I'll just ask everyone else to stand as I call this meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for the City of Natchez to order. And thank you, everyone, for being here. I'd like to ask you, if you would, to please join in a word of prayer followed by our pledge. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for each day you give us. And Father, we thank you that we can come together to do things in the betterment of our city. And Father, I thank you for each person who serves here at the will and pleasure of our citizens. I thank you for also, Father, our first responders, those who are working so hard after storms, those who are working, putting their lives on the line for others each and every day. And we thank you for our veterans and, Father, the freedoms that we celebrate as a country, being that this is our first meeting in July. And we think back to just last week, a week ago, when we celebrated the 247th birthday of our country. Let us never take the freedoms for granted and the blessings that you've instilled upon us. In your name we pray. In the name of Christ, amen. Amen. Now, would you join me in the pledge to our flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'll ask the clerk to administer the roll call.
Alderwoman Hall.
Here.
Alderman Frazier.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith. Here. Alderwoman Irving.
Here.
Alderman Davis.
Here.
Alderman Maroney.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, all are present and accountable.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Before we get into the bulk of the meeting, I do want to address something that has been brought to my attention by several sources just over the last few hours. I do want to apologize that the agenda for this meeting and other documents were not uploaded to our website. As you know, we have an individual who has now moved on to greener pastures, and we're already suffering from his loss, and we're going to get around to that in a minute. But I do want to say that I don't expect that anything out of the ordinary will take place. Everything will be broadcast in the meeting today on Facebook Live and on YouTube as normal. And we do have the agenda up for everyone to see. We have copies out. And if anyone needs more information, just feel free to call my office. We do not intend to in any way pass anything that is not made available to the public for their scrutiny. And yes, we do have some items on the agenda, but we'll deal with those as we get to them. I do also want to make this statement. In the past, we have televised these meetings on Facebook and on social media and other venues. But we would continue all the way through to the end of the meeting, even if that meant a prolonged silence because of an executive session. Today, we are going to change format on that just a little bit. We will have an executive session at the very end of today's meeting, but the public part and the video will come to an end when we go into executive session. When we come back from executive session, rather than making the videographer wait for who knows how long, we will make a brief announcement and make it available on social media of whatever the report is from executive session and if any action is taken. We may actually just set up a tripod and do a Facebook Live just for that last segment of the meeting. And so it won't be a part of the official recording we're making now, but it will be available for you to see. And so I just want to make sure that's understood by everyone. We're doing things just a little differently now that Dustin Hinkle has left, and it's going to take us just a little while to find our feet here and get back on a good footing, because we always depend on him so much. And so with that said, I have a presentation to make. I told him we were going to make him wait till the very end of the meeting after the executive session for this, but I think he has other things now to do. So I'm going to ask Dustin if he would come up and join me here in front, and we have a presentation we'd like to make to him. And Dustin, we just appreciate you. Appreciate your spirit, appreciate all you've done for us. And so this is a token in appreciation for 3 years of outstanding service to the city of Natchez. You have been instrumental in bringing communications into the modern age while working with everyone to make our city government more transparent and city friendly. We thank you, July 2023. And, we could have gone on and on about what you did during COVID, what you've done to promote local business, and to also help out in so many ways every time we've had a special event. We're going to miss you. And you're invited to say a few words if you like.
Oh, mercy. It's been my pleasure, Board of Aldermen. Thank you so much for everything. It was not an easy decision at all, for sure, but I want you to know that I miss it already, and thank you so much for everything. My family is blessed because of it, and even the hardships, the things we tried to accomplish, we did it. I think that we did it well, and it helped me grow in my own heart. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to invite any of the aldermen who'd like to come up for the picture too. Just please come on forward. And Dustin, get over here with me down in the center. And, when Dustin told me this, I said, well, who am I to get in the way of your blessing? And I know God's got some great blessings in store for you.
All right, everybody say, how do I get this video operated? Ready?
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thanks.
One more road. Say one thing. It's one funny thing. So the July 4th weekend, we went to a local business to do a shout out for our only locally owned fireworks stand. And my sweet wife Marla was out there in the heat holding that camera doing Facebook Live. And if you watch it, it's a great blooper because we didn't know how to quite end the Facebook Live. And we got my picture of our feet and the conversation at the end of it and all. And we missed you that day. But we're going to get it. Thank you. Well, with that said, I'm going to recognize the clerk for the minutes.
Okay, actually, we have 2 sets of minutes on the agenda, but only one was ready in time. So requesting approval of the minutes for the special called board meeting held on May 31st.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
There was an error, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, motion made by Alderwoman Irving and seconded by Alderman Davis.
It was a minor
And
error.
yes, Alderwoman Irving?
It was, there's a minor error. on the
Okay,
Motion, and I do have it here if you'd like to see what it is, so.
okay. If you want to go ahead and just make that available to the clerk and to the board, let it be said what the,
It's ratify
what the correction,
the election.
Yeah.
what the correction is. Okay. Is that, amendment satisfactory, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir, thank you.
It's just to make sure we are ratifying the election. All right. Any further discussion? Well,
Call for the question.
the question's been called. Any opposed to the call? We'll then proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
That is all I have to, I'm sorry, the meeting, the minutes for the June 13th meeting did not get completed in time to go out in the packets.
Okay. though, so that will be on hold till next time. All right, thank you. City business, we've already taken care of that. We do have some other employees who are retiring, and we may have some other recognitions in our next meeting. We just thank everyone who always for their service to our city. We do have Tawana Williams, Director of Workforce Development here. And Ms. Williams, we're glad to see you.
Yes, good morning, Mayor and
Good
Board
morning.
of Aldermen.
Good morning.
Slide that over. So I am here this morning to request travel to two separate conferences. The first conference is the ACT Workforce Summit. It's in Nashville, October 4 through 6. And I believe I should stop there and ask for.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So move.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion. We'll call for the question. Well, certainly. Tell us a little more about the conference.
A little bit more about the conference. So the ACT Workforce Summit is a conference that actually brings together stakeholders of workforce development from all over the country. So I was able to attend last year. Mayor Gibson was there. Lynette West was there. Cleveland Moore was there. And I believe at one point, the mayor and I actually took over a session regarding job fairs. That's where the reverse job fair idea came from. So it's an excellent conference. And there was so much that I wanted to attend. I couldn't attend every session, but it was great. And I would like to attend again.
Yes.
Ms. Williams, do we still have our ACT designation?
We do.
We do.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
I believe Natchez Adams School District actually tested 130 students right before school ended. Yes.
Great.
Good deal, thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? We'll call for the question.
Call.
Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And I have one more. I am requesting to travel to Mississippi Horizons Conference. It's actually a conference put on by Accelerate Mississippi. And you guys know that is our state workforce development arm. We've developed a great relationship with them thus far. The conference is in Flowood, August 21st through the 24th of this year, 2023. We continue to build strong relationships with Accelerate Mississippi. I actually have a meeting in Weston with them at Colin Weston on Friday. And so they're including us in everything that they're doing. So we want to continue to keep that relationship good.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman Hall.
Ms. Williams, perhaps
Yes.
maybe at the next meeting or in August, you can give us an update on workforce development?
Absolutely. I would be happy to. As a matter of fact, on July 20th, all three boards will convene and I'll give a very detailed report on what we've been doing thus far. And then so I'll come back here and speak to the entire board about
And
it.
that's on a Thursday, I believe.
Yes, it is.
Yes, we'll get that. What time will that meeting
What
take
all,
place?
what boards? I'm sorry.
The city, the county, school board.
Mhm.
We have just been discussing having a joint meeting where she can give an overall update on workforce development. And we haven't gotten that notice out yet. July the 20th,
Yes, July 20th, 10 a.m. to 12 noon at the convention center.
at the convention
Mhm.
center. Okay, let's
Yes.
go ahead and get that announcement sent out.
Okay.
Make sure all three boards are advised. That'll be very good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
And with that said, any further discussion? We still need to vote on the
Call for the
motion.
question.
Question's been called. Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Also, I'm excited to say that because of the grant
Yes.
and your relationship also as, even though we are working with all three boards, you are officially an employee of the city
Yes.
and you will soon be in a position to need an assistant
Yes.
and more office space. And we're looking, just to let everyone know, we're looking into the possibility in the very near future of accommodating workforce development in this building
Yes.
so that they can be closer to the city and have more space and continue working with Natchez Inc., but being located here.
Yes.
So good things in the future.
Yes, thank you.
And Ms. Williams, don't forget, we need you at the State of the City
I'll be there. It's
on
on my
Monday,
calendar.
July 24th. We've got some great things to announce.
All right.
Yes, at 5:30.
Yes, sir.
And that State of the City will be at the auditorium. I told everybody it was just going to be too hot to be on the front steps of City Hall, but everybody wanted to be at City Hall. Actually, everybody didn't want to be at City Hall except me. It has been changed. I have been overridden, and I want everyone to please put that on your calendar. The State of the City 2023 State of the City event will take place on July 24th, 5:30 p.m. at the City Auditorium. Okay. Next item, Mr. Johnston, you're recognized.
Board. You did receive a draft of my report in your package. One item has been added at the end. And it was not made available because I did not know how to make it available to the audiovisual today. To lead off on what Tawana just said concerning workforce development, the Natchez Adams County Workforce Initiative, Strengthening Collaboration and Capacity 2023 Delta Workforce Program, funded by the Delta Regional Authority. Staff is requesting a motion to accept the recently received grant award from the Delta Regional Authority totaling $443,653 to convene a county-wide employer-led sectorial partnership that will develop and implement a workforce training system to align workforce development initiatives with current and future trends. Following its successful implementation during the proposed 36-month period, 250 dislocated workers, new entrants to the workforce, and incumbent workers residing in Natchez Adams County and surrounding areas will be upskilled or trained and placed in quality, in-demand jobs with the historically designated persistent poverty county of Adams, subject to the review and approval of the city attorney.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Davis and seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion? Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
Okay, this is the grant we just received. I'm aware of all that. How does this coincide with Mrs. Tawana Williams as well?
Ms. Tawana will be overseeing the project, and I'll offer whatever support is required.
That's my
Again,
question.
3-year grant. We actually met yesterday to have preliminary discussions. We both been tasked with a few activities, and we'll try and get back together later this week or first of next week.
Thank you.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
This training, Ms. Williams, is it gonna be at a specified place or what? The work, dealing with these people.
Yes, James and I are in conversation about hosting at Colleen.
Ms. Williams, you go to the mic.
At
please.
Colleen?
Yes.
Ms. Williams, can you go to the mic so it's recorded?
Yes, we're talking about having trainings at Colleen because that facility is ready and Dr. Barnes is willing. So we've had those discussions already in the past. So they're just waiting. Actually, I'm meeting with Dr. Barnes today.
Okay.
Yes.
One more question.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
I understand it's workforce development, but is this gonna reach out to, are we gonna reach out to, it might sound like a little far-fetched, are we gonna reach out to high school seniors who are graduating from school?
Yes, those are considered our new workers.
Okay.
And it's written in the grant that way. New workers, incumbent workers, and dislocated workers.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Alderman. Any further questions, discussion? I do want to make a comment that this is a prayer that has been answered, and we've been praying for about 1.5 years. And all of our vision for workforce development now can go forward because we have full funding. And it's not just this funding, but it's also upwards $150,000 a year for the next several years coming from the state
Yes.
for another component of workforce development, which I really love. It's going to allow us to train these young people who have made bad decisions, and rather than have to have something on their record, they can be given the option of workforce training that has to lead to a job. And that's the kind of thing that will transform the lives of people. And I'm excited about it. And so, Ms. Williams, thank you for your leadership, and the future looks bright.
I got one more question.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
You're going to be teaching specified jobs besides what you call service jobs. So we're going into all kinds of computers and everything, correct?
So for the
You know,
purposes,
our industry is what I'm saying. Our industry is based mostly on tourism.
right.
And then, but we know we don't really have like a whole lot of manufacturing. So we're going to concentrate on stuff like that.
Yes, for the purposes of the DRA grant, advanced manufacturing and healthcare are the primary focuses. So we're going to be convening those industries, the leaders in those industries for our area, to advise us as to what type of customized training they need for our area. So
healthcare and
advanced manufacturing, those are primary. Yes.
Thank you. Alderwoman Irving?
And I just want to specific, will advanced manufacturing
Yes.
include housing, carpentry, all of those kinds of skills? I don't know your jargon, but
Yes.
I'm asking, does it
It
consist
could.
of that?
Electrical.
Yes.
James and I was discussing that yesterday.
Yes.
And so we're looking at the budget and figuring out exactly what additional training, vocational, specific,
Yes.
we may be able to include. So
Thank
yes,
you.
ma'am, we are focused on that. Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll now call the question. Question's been called. Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Mr. Johnston, next item.
Duncan Park Golf Pro Shop renovation phase 1, funded from actually 2 bond issues, the 2022 capital improvements GOB and the 21 rec GOB. Bids for the above referenced project were received in the clerk's office at 10 a.m. on Thursday, July 6th. A summary of the loan bid received is as follows, and you see how it is detailed out there. It came from Hope Construction. You have a base bid, and you have the 2 add alternates. Staff in concert with consulting engineer Belinda Stewart Architects is requesting a motion to reject the bid received because it exceeds 10% of the funds available for this project.
So moved.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion. Second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Davis. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
Is this the sprinkler system to water the grass out on the?
No, ma'am.
What is the sprinkler?
Building sprinkler system for fire suppression.
Fire, okay. Okay.
I will say that we are very disappointed in the results of this bid, and it just shows, as we have seen with other bids, that inflation is becoming our greatest challenge. But we are undaunted, just as we did with our streets bid. We reworked it, we sought competition, we then rebid it, and we were successful. We will do the same thing here. And I don't want anyone to think for a minute that we're giving up on the renovation of the Duncan Park Golf Clubhouse. And I also want now to make sure everyone realizes that in spite of this, we have so many things going on. And we are about to be complete with renovations to ball fields. We are in the midst now of constructing new tennis courts. We have the bond issue done, the bid done, and project will begin soon. The projects to renovate streets around our city, including the main street into Duncan Park, the renovations to the columns at Auburn, the pavilion, the restrooms on the front part, and not to mention all the new playgrounds. All of this is going forward, in addition to the exterior renovations of the canteen building and the work the VFW is doing there. And this is on top of the recent completion of the youth center at North Natchez. So yes, it's a step back, but there's so many steps forward that is not a time for anything but continued positivity as we look forward to getting this project done.
Mr. Mayor, I got a question.
Yes,
And
Alderwoman
it's not
Irving.
my board, but I do have to ask, you said tennis courts. So does that tennis courts include the North Natchez Park tennis courts as well with the updates?
I'm
or
sorry,
improvements?
we're discussing the golf clubhouse right now, but the tennis courts, we had a groundbreaking at Duncan Park just 2 weeks ago, as you'll recall. The tennis courts at North Natchez, we've done work, but eventually in another phase, I'd like to do more there, certainly. But North Natchez, if you'll recall, we have completed the playground, we've completed the restrooms, we've now completed the restoration of the North Natchez Youth Center, and we will be cutting the ribbon on that very soon. So,
Call the question.
great things. The question's been called. Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item, Mr. Johnson.
North Natchez Park Youth Center 2022 Capital Improvements Bond. Staff is requesting a motion to approve change order number 1 totaling $1,649 to reduce the bid package number 2 from $476,000 to $476 down to $473,351.
What's the pleasure of the
So
board?
moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall. Second.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion.
Yes.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
What was the reason for the reduction?
We always build in a contingency on renovation projects, and the entire contingency was not used, so it's being given back to the project, to the city, excuse me,
Giving back to the project,
to the city.
to the city?
That dollar amount?
Yes, ma'am, the $1,649.
All right, any further discussion?
Call the
Call for the
question.
question. Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to the vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries.
I do have one more item that
Yes,
did not
Mr.
make
Lawrence.
the AV system nor to your respective desks. Natchez City Auditorium, request for quote bids, bid package number 1, 2022 Convention Center Complex Bond Issue. Staff, in concert with Wakehouse and Associates, is requesting a motion to seek quote bids for the following activity: remove existing tar and felt buildup roof at northeast and northwest corner of building, approximately 1,000 square feet. Remove a single ply roofing system to include testing and removal of asbestos-containing materials. Again, this is a quote bid. We're estimating the work come in at below $75,000.
And it would be said, this is the first phase.
First of four.
renovation,
First of 4 quote bid. First of 4 biddings. Yes, sir.
Yes, for the renovation of the city auditorium.
Yes, sir.
And that's exciting to be
So moved.
starting that. Alderwoman Hall has made the motion, seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
Can I get a paper copy of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would like one.
I'll email it to y'all. Yes.
All right.
I-
Alderman
Sorry?
Email it
Frazier.
to me, but I still like a paper copy.
Oh, I'll put it in your box. And how about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion? We'll call for the question. Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnston. And you know, it's good that the first phase is the roof. No reason to do anything else until that's taken care of. We'll call now on Jody Rudder, Inspections Department. Mr. Rudder?
Morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to ask permission to advertise for bids to demo the adjudicated dangerous structures.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, I would like Mr. Rudder just to get with Ms. Legault to see if any of those are in the historic district.
We've
I think
already
they
talked
would
about
need
it.
to go to Preservation
Yes, ma'am.
Commission first. Thanks.
Good point, good point. And these are the properties that were adjudicated in our last meeting.
Correct.
Yes, Alderwoman Earl.
Oh, and that's what I was gonna ask. What are those properties? Okay, the last meeting. Okay, all right.
All right, any further discussion? Yes,
Well, I guess I would ask,
Yes,
he's
Alderwoman
bringing
Earl.
it to be adjudicated. We must have funding. Am I correct?
Well, we're just asking for the prices for the bids right now.
Okay.
It'll have to come back before you to
Okay,
proceed. You know, I'm not
Okay.
asking for permission to.
okay.
any further
We
discussion?
can further hear.
Question's been called. Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Thank you. Ms. Legault, you're recognized.
The first item that we're going to discuss is the noise ordinance. And this is revising the current noise ordinance to where we would have the use of sound meters to measure exactly how loud it is. And that will sort of give us a level feel of who is louder than others, because different people perceive, particularly music. Some like loud music, some don't like music not so loud. So noise is noise. You may think it's music. Some other people may think it's noise. First section talks about the different definitions that we have. And you're going to see A-weighted sound levels and C-weighted sound levels. And those are how the sound meter measures the sound that they're hearing. Also, then the next section, you're going to have exclusions to the noise ordinance. So they would be, I'm going to read a few of these so you get the idea of which ones they are. An employee of a government entity engaged in the employer's official duty. Persons engaged in sporting events at a stadium or a ballpark. A person authorized at an authorized parade or street event or other function authorized by the mayor and the council. Anyone operating a bell or a chime for religious or governmental activity. A person's operating emergency vehicles and so forth. Audible warning device on a vehicle as required by state law. That would be like a police siren or fire trucks or ambulances. Visit Natchez or city-sponsored event or other nonprofit sanctioned events approved by the mayor and the council. The city of Natchez sponsored event approved by the mayor and, of course, the alderman. An event in Adams County approved by Adams County Board of Supervisors. The use of domestic power tools, lawnmowers, agricultural equipment between the hours of 6:30 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday through Sunday. Golf course lawn and maintenance activities at legally permitted golf courses. And safety signals and alarm devices, storm warning, sirens and horns, and other authorized testing of such equipment. So then we get into the restrictions of the use, and there are various restrictions on the use. I won't read through all of those. There are several pages of those. And then the next one is there's restrictions on outdoor entertainment. Then we get into how we're going to do the decibel levels, and these are done by zoning districts. And the reason they're done by zoning districts is because in areas such as business areas like a B4, which is your highway business, you naturally expect more noise in that area than you would, say, in a residential area. So that's why we use the zoning districts as a level for the decibel levels in doing that. Commercial areas, you would expect a little bit more noise in commercial areas than, for example, downtown, as opposed to, it would sort of be in between where your residential is and where your B4, your highway commercial is. So they have a different decibel level. And it talks about the excess, what is too much of a decibel level and what you're allowed to have. The other thing that they have put in, that has been put in here, is where your measurement is made from, because you want to measure each of these things identically. You don't want to measure one 50 feet away from the noise and the other one 10 feet away, because obviously it's going to sound louder 10 feet away than it would 50 feet away. So there are measurements as to where the measurement is to be taken. There's also decibel levels for multi-unit structures, and those could be apartments generally, multifamily buildings, quads, plexes, or, larger apartments. Then we have the placement of loudspeakers. They talk about where indoor loudspeakers should be and what the requirements and operational terms are of that. And then we talk about outdoor loudspeakers.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do at this time is the motion we need to entertain is to pass a motion to schedule a public hearing, advertise this ordinance, and place it on the city's website. I think as we have expressed in our recent conversations on this ordinance just a month ago, in June when we had the meeting at NAPAC, so many of the affected businesses were there, and they expressed a desire on something of this importance. They expressed a desire to participate in a public hearing on this. I think that is wise. I don't think we should in any way, I don't think this city should ever pass anything without the public having the ability to inspect it, to comment on it, to make sure that we have buy-in from the public. Because if we just arbitrarily pass an ordinance that our public has not been able to understand, to study, to provide feedback that's important to the city, if we arbitrarily do that, then we're just asking for trouble. We won't buy in on any ordinance we pass, and especially on any ordinance that affects tourism, affects our businesses. And this noise ordinance also affects all of our homeowners. So I'll entertain that motion to post this on the city website and schedule and advertise it for a public hearing.
So moved.
And schedule that public hearing. We would need to establish the date of that public hearing in the motion. And I don't know if thought has been given to that, but I would suggest that it be, if time permits for advertisement, it should be at an evening meeting after hours. Perhaps our next board meeting, although that's only 2 weeks away. What is,
Before, Mr. Mayor.
yes,
We could do it before it.
we could do it at
Starting
5.
at 6, so we could do it at 5.
We could do it at 5. Is 2 weeks enough time to advertise and invite people to come publicize it on the website?
Should be.
Is that,
It should be.
okay. So Alderwoman Smith, your motion is that this would take place at our next, what is the date of that meeting?
The 25th.
The 25th at 5 p.m. and that it be posted on the city website and a notice run in the media to include local media.
Motion.
Okay, the motion's made by Alderwoman Smith. Second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Davis. All right. Alderman Frazier?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I have two concerns, and I must say this. I very seldom agree with you on anything, but I do agree with you on that. My other concern is that being as though, and this is just me, being as though it's summertime and everyone already have events already planned. And I was just thinking, I think that we should at least put this off to the end of August. But, because everybody have a lot of stuff and the events already planned, at least until the summertime is over, because people are expecting a lot of things. And I can say, I want to say this. This kind of bothers me because this ordinance, it's like New Orleans. You might have a business over here, and the next street over here, you might have a apartment complex, and you might have a neighborhood. So that's my concern about these ordinances, because Natchez itself is an old city and was built in the old style. Like I say, we might have a housing complex over here, then we might have a business right here, or we might have a park over here. Mm-hmm. So I think we need to really look into this real close, because we want everyone to be happy and everything. And plus, like I say, we are going the route that we are going with these decimal meters and everything else. So it's a fairly decent ordinance, but some parts of it, like I say, I think that we need to look into it a little more.
I agree with you. All the more reason to have a public hearing.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderwoman Hall?
We have to advertise this for 15 days, and the second meeting of this month is not going to be enough time for us to advertise that legally.
Okay.
So I would like to ask that the motion be amended, that this be done at the second meeting in August.
Okay. Is that all right?
Because that will allow us to have enough time to legally advertise this.
Okay. That stands then as your motion amended, Alderman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Davis, that's
Yes.
fine. All right. So that gives us even more time to study and for everyone to get comfortable with it and to form the questions that they have. Further discussion? We'll call for the question.
That would be August.
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Callaway.
Just real quick, you want this published in the Democrat and the Bluff.
And the Bluff City Post and made available to other media outlets, including Listen Up Y'all and others. Definitely.
Mr. Mayor, the meeting will be August 22nd. That's the date.
August the 22nd at 5 p.m. All right. All right. Well, I'll call for the question.
Call.
Anyone opposed to the call, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you. Next item, Ms. Legault, and we have been advised in the past and coming into this meeting. Oh, by the way, Richard Burke has said he's available if anyone has questions regarding the noise ordinance. He did a lot of the footwork and looking at other ordinances from other cities and working with Ms. Legault. So Richard Burke is available if anyone has questions. Thank you, Richard. I have been advised by the attorney that because I do own a short-term rental, I no longer own a bed and breakfast. I have closed those since becoming mayor, but I do still own one short-term rental. And my wife is also in the business of having some short-term rentals as well. And so for that reason, I have to recuse myself from discussion of this next item. And I am going to, as I did before, ask Alderwoman Hall as chairwoman of the ordinance committee to carry out the meeting in my stead during only this portion. And then I'll return once notified. I normally would pass the gavel over to the Mayor Pro Tem, but I think she has a similar issue.
Mr. Mayor, I will be recusing myself as an STR owner as well.
Okay. All right. So let the record show that we are leaving the meeting at this time, and please let us know when we can return. Okay.
I want to make the motion to adjourn.
No.
Ms. Legault, please proceed.
I want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. It's just humor.
Ms. Legault,
Yeah, that's how.
please proceed.
We've
This is
been-
now Mrs. Legault's discussion of short-term rental ordinance for the city of Natchez.
As you remember, we did have a public hearing on this, and we've updated the ordinance to include some of the suggestions made at the meeting. And those changes were on here in red type. The changes include on-site parking requirements, signage, grandfather status, definition of local property manager, a change in owners or local property manager notification to the city, and deletion of references to the guest house in the current ordinance. Just last week, we were made aware that the fire department was thinking of putting in some short-term rental regulations. They have found that in going out to inspect the properties when you get a business license, a privilege license from the city, that some of the short-term rentals did not meet the ordinance standards because it's a house usually that they're in, and now it's a commercial entity. So some of the things needed to be upgraded. Some of the fire safety standards needed to be upgraded. So I only found out about this on Thursday. So we had a meeting with them on Thursday afternoon, and the fire marshal and the fire chief met with us, and they have some things, we talked about some things at that meeting that they would like to add in, which we agree with. We had put something in, they were happy that we had put something in about it, but they are going to make it more specific. So for example, we said they had to have fire extinguishers, but we don't know how many and where they need to be located. And that's what that's a thing that they were talking about doing. The other thing is, that we talked about the smoke detectors. Where do they need to be located? We know obviously probably in a kitchen, but are there other places that they need to be located? And so we think that would be beneficial, not only to the individual, but to the city. They would only have to go out perhaps just one time if we had those in this ordinance to inspect, rather than having to go back a second time and delaying the issuance of this privilege license. The other thing is, in talking just together, we've come across some things that we think we should maybe alter in the ordinance. One of them we're talking about is the 500-foot distance, and also making a variance available and what would constitute a variance, what they could do. Normally, variances are distance requirements. So this is a perfect thing to say. If we go with what the bed and breakfast ordinance says, it's 300 feet. But we could, because that's a distance measurement, that could qualify for a variance, but we would have to say, how much of a variance do we want to give them? We don't want to give them the 300 feet to be right beside of it, but we could certainly do that. And we could talk about things that they might be able to do, like maybe we should have them get 75% of the owners within a certain radius to say, if you were in a residential district, to say we're okay with it. That way they knew that people would know it was coming in and they could say, well, there's okay. These are just things we're talking about. But what we would like to do is to have your feedback today and then come back to you with a revised ordinance with these things in it.
Mr. Lou.
Mr.
I have,
Stranger, you're recognized.
thank you, ma'am. On this ordinance, first of all, is the fire department. How many fire extinguishers do they say they're supposed to have, but they don't know?
I have no idea. Yeah, I'm not. It's the fire marshal would put those in the ordinance, and he would be very specific. And I would just take what he has written, and I would put it right into the ordinance. So he's going to write, what.
Okay. From your experience in dealing with this and fire extinguishers and Airbnb, how many? Do you know how many already been in? I know they're supposed to have one.
At least one, yeah. And it may
So
be,
how many
I would
he's-
imagine it would be at least one per floor. I don't know. That's, usually we just left this to the fire department to go out and inspect in other places where I've been. And the fire department in other places has never come and said, hey, we would like this in the ordinance so that the people know ahead of time what they do. Now, with that being said, most of the other places were not historic districts with the older houses either that are more susceptible to damage from fires. They can go up because of the age of the house and the fact that most of them are clapboard wood houses and wood frame houses. They would come a fire, the fire would go really fast. It would catch on and go really fast. So I've never really dealt with one in an older historic district like this. All the ones have been more in.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like I said, I stayed in an Airbnb in Gulfport. They didn't have one, but it seems to me if we're gonna, I'm fine with the fire department doing it, but I talked to one of the Airbnb owners, and they said that the fire marshal, he potentially wanted a fire extinguisher and all. If you got 3 bedrooms, he want fire extinguisher in 3 bedrooms. That kind of like a little far-fetched to me.
I couldn't tell you. I know it was 300 feet. I don't know. It was written in, I believe, 95 or 97. So I'm not sure what the thinking was at that point, why they picked the 300 feet. But I can certainly ask that question because I know Mimi Miller was here, and I could ask her why that 300 feet.
I was just thinking about, like I say, I was thinking about like the Gulfport and everything, but these are Airbnbs and these new ones. I think that we can look at Charleston because Charleston is just as old as Natchez, and they should have a lot of old historical buildings. And if we can find out how many they fire things and what their fire code is in dealing with these Airbnb, it'd be much better.
And I could look at some other ordinances to see if they have anything definite in their fire, in their Airbnb ordinances. I can look and see that before we meet, to discuss it.
My one more concern is that I've been reaching out to some of the people in Natchez and stuff. They've been calling and talking to me, and my concern is that we are doing all these upgrades for safety, and we're doing it for Airbnbs and talking about discussion of Airbnb. The thing will be all this that we are doing it. Have we reached out to Visit Natchez?
Do you have any what?
Visit Natchez.
Visit Natchez. We let them in on all this with them since they're part of the tourist industry.
Have we looked at them?
No, visit. Yes.
Some of the
B&Bs. We're doing these ordinances, these short-term.
Oh,
Yeah.
in Natchez, I have been
input.
in some
Yeah,
of the
have you got the
B&Bs. Yes, and I have been in some of the short-term rentals here and there. Not every one,
No,
but our city inspector, the building inspector, and the fire marshal go through every one of them that apply for a privilege license. They have to go out and inspect those before we issue a privilege license. So they would be the ones that would be inspecting it more than me. I mean, I know some building codes, but I'm not an expert on it, Ask me about zoning. I can tell you about zoning, but the building code I'm not on. But I have been in some of them. And actually, I have stayed in Airbnbs and VRBOs and short-term rentals, in various places when we go on vacation. Not all the time, but I have stayed in them, the places.
What I was simply saying is that I guess we must have got off on the wrong path. What I was simply saying, the organization Visits Natchez, have they been included in any of this zoning talk?
We have not in the ordinance itself, but we have been communicating on the ones that we have where we have made a list. We went through, the planning staff went through, we took all of our ones that had privilege license and their their special exception. We took all the B&Bs that have come through, and we took what was on Visit Natchez as well as what is on Airbnb and VRBO and other platforms such as that. And we made a map and we put dots where all of these were. The large majority of them are in the historic district. We had only 2 that was outside the historic district that we could find. And we've kind of researched all of that, and we had our map because we wanted to see where are these going in and what do we need to look at. So that's why, the focus or the thing seems to be in the historic district, and not just residential, but in the business district too.
I yield the floor to
Mr. Maroney?
I'd like to just clarify. So as I understand, you want to table this thing for a little bit more refinement on fire, and the fire department is going to work with you on that and make some recommendations. I would think that they probably know better than anyone what sort of recommendations to make as to smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, fire extinguishers, and it could differ certainly depending upon the size and construction of the building, wherever the unit is going to be.
Right.
Also, I think it's definitely a good consideration to look again at the 500 feet versus 300 feet versus whatever the density, the density question. And I think that density question could have a different answer depending upon the location of said, Airbnb short-term rental. And I think that the location of these things should definitely be an important consideration in any variances, because there's some places, quite frankly, that in town that maybe lend themselves to lots of development of Airbnbs. I mean, we might have some areas that are kind of run down and some Airbnbs, some people coming in and retrofitting or refurbishing old houses that otherwise are going to sit there and rot.
Right.
if someone's willing to come in and refurbish one and put some serious money into it, which if they're going to Airbnb it, if they're going to short-term rent it, it's going to have to be done to a particular standard.
Yeah.
And that standard would be different probably if they were going to just long-term rent it or, you know, something else. I think long-term, the most beneficial situation a lot of times is someone coming in, buying a rundown house and fixing it back up for short-term rental. A lot of times I think those end up turning into permanent residences eventually.
Yeah.
Some people do it for an out-of-town house and they rent it for a while and their long-term plan is to move to Natchez and live there. So I think revisiting this thing and bringing it back after some time rather than voting on it today is definitely a good thing.
I think one
Ms.
of the
Liddell,
things.
I'd also like to ask who's going to be involved in that discussion of further enhancements to what we've got.
That hasn't been decided yet, you know, so.
Mr. Davis?
I wasn't here for the public hearing, so people been reaching out, calling me about this. But I think Visit Natchez should be involved because it involves tourism dollars. In other words, one thing I want, actually, I want to make a motion so Mr. Heath can come up and talk about how it's affect Visit Natchez though.
Second.
It should be a motion to suspend the rules to allow public comment.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules to allow a public member? This is not a public hearing.
I know, but I can make a motion.
I'm asking you
Right
to,
up here.
we have to suspend the rules
Okay.
to allow a public member.
Okay.
This is not a public hearing.
Okay.
So is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Yes.
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Mr. Heath?
Take a vote on the motion.
Is there, all in favor, aye. All opposed, nay.
Good afternoon, Board.
Good afternoon.
I am very much a believer that we do need to make sure that we have proper ordinances and proper guidance for development, continued development in Natchez. Short-term rentals are a huge component of tourism here in Natchez, more so than most cities. As you all know, I come from different backgrounds of cities, and our inventory of accommodations that we offer to visitors, both convention visitors as well as individual, particularly our leisure visitors, is predominantly made up of our short-term rentals. And so my concern, it revolves around any restrictions that adversely affect our short-term rental owners. I do think that there needs to be smart guidances for those owners, but by the same token, anything that's going to deter a potential owner or even a current owner, I think we significantly need to look at, we need to consider and keep in mind that short-term rentals are an alternative to hotels. And so keeping in mind the kinds of restrictions that we have placed on hotels, keeping that in mind and trying to keep a fair playing field. As a former hotelier, I used to fight for a fair playing field with the short-term rentals, that they had the same type of restrictions that we would have and requirements that we would have as hoteliers. And now, as somebody who works with both, I say that as long as the playing field is even for short-term rentals and hoteliers, that I think that that's a good consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Heath. I would like to interject here at this moment and say we did have a public hearing on this. And I think what Ms. Legault has brought to the board today were comments from the public hearing. I have been inundated with calls yesterday evening, last night, and this morning, and messages relative to the 300-foot distance and the 500-foot distance. The people are really adamant about the not having a 500-foot distance, which makes a lot of sense because there's a 300-foot rule in the B&B, and there's also a 300-foot rule in the preservation ordinance. So this is the playing field. That has been our goal the entire time, to make this equitable for all people in the city of Natchez. all homeowners and all business owners. So I appreciate your input, but Ms. Legault is our city planner. There is a staff relative to her, and we'll proceed how the board wants to proceed. But we did have a public hearing, and none of this was ever brought up at the public hearing. By law, we had a public hearing. I just wanted to interject with that. So the 500-foot variance or distance versus a 300-foot, what is now put into this draft ordinance, I do agree that the 300-foot distance is more appropriate and will be consistent with what is already in our ordinances and in the preservation code, which is under the Department of the Interior. Ms. Irving?
Okay, I just want to add this. I wholeheartedly believe, because I have been, received a lot of calls, text messages and what have you. And I overall believe that we need to have another public hearing, so that we can bring in other members of the community. I think we need to check with a consultant, and we've done that before, because we also have to consider the downtown master plan as well. All this is a part of it. And so what I suggest we do is get the stakeholders, other members of the community, get their input, because all of it is needed. But get that consultant back in. And we've had that before, where we've hired someone as a consultant to come back and look at some things that need to be done, and as they've done before, but also to be inclusive with the downtown master plan, which would affect everyone. The bed and breakfast, the Airbnbs, the short-term rentals, all of that would be considered. So I think that's where we need to start. I think, as a matter of fact, I want to make a motion. We can make a motion at this time that we look at getting a consultant coming in. And so I want to make a motion that we look at getting a consultant to come in and assist us with a public hearing, getting the input, how it would affect our downtown master plan at this time.
I'd second it.
Thank you.
Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I just have a discussion on the motion. She suggested that we get a consultant. I would like to say that way the mayor been running the city, the way they run the city, I would think that we should form a committee of various people in the community, that like she say, the stakeholders, like Visit Natchez, and maybe some of the other citizens, that own these Airbnbs. I guess this is just my suggestion. I don't know, but that's my feeling, that we should get a committee together and form it, because we do have a lot of committees and their input in that, and the people on these committees, like I say, they are stakeholders. They should have some say so in it. So
Thank you.
Mr. Maroney?
I'd like to say, I do like the idea of getting some more stakeholders involved in working with Frankie. I don't know whether we need to go so far as getting a consultant, although we have had, Phil Walker, for example, has been involved with the development of our master plan. He's a former city planner, and he knows a lot about it. Maybe we ask him, I don't know whether we need to go out and do a big thing where we hire him and have a contract and all that, but he might be willing to just, give us some advice based on where we are. But I think we've got stakeholders involved, such as Visit Natchez, maybe Mickey from downtown Natchez, some folks. We've got a lot of people in Natchez that know all the pieces that need to come together and how this needs to work. And I think our people here in town probably know as well as anyone. And Phil Walker is one person that can maybe contribute to that. But,
Absolutely.
I don't know that we need to extend this thing and complicate it to the point where we have a formal agreement with a consultant that comes in and costs us a bunch of money.
I don't think
But I do like the idea of Frankie pulling together a group of people, some of the local stakeholders, and getting a little bit more input from them as she goes forward in developing this thing. But I think I have total confidence that Frankie could get a few people together and put together what we need. I think we're getting very close. And I don't want to see it drug out and this thing take months. I really think she could probably pull the right people together and have something very acceptable for us in a couple of weeks.
Is there,
an amendment to that motion, or what, do you want a consultant, or what?
Mr. Frazier, you have,
That was just brought in, he could volunteer, just someone to reach out to, and there was more like,
What I'm
what
saying?
is the motion, Ms. Irving?
Yeah.
the motion is amend the motion that we have another hearing that involves other stakeholders and communicate with the director, Mr. Mickey of DNA, and that organization, DNA, and other stakeholders in the community. Visit Natchez to be included as well.
Mr. Attorney,
Yes, ma'am.
any comments on this?
With all due respect, the Alderwoman is perfectly entitled to make that motion, and the board can vote on that motion. But I think this could be handled informally with frankly reaching out, coming back in her next meeting saying, I met with Visit Natchez, I met with these people and got their input. And if any of these aldermen would like a specific stakeholder involved, they can direct Frankie to involve that person also. Again, I'm not trying to stop the motion. You're certainly entitled to make it, but I do think this could be handled without the formality of another formal committee and another formal.
In a public hearing.
I have a stakeholder, I'll give to you, Miss.
Okay, so then, I'll make the motion that Mrs. Legault would meet with stakeholders of the community, Visit Natchez, DNA Director, Mr. Mickey Howley, okay, meet with him and other, Airbnb owners, all of those stakeholders.
Plus any as directed by the Board of Aldermen. Right?
Okay, yes,
I'll second that motion.
thank you.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Ms. Legault, you want to continue? Is there a motion now to allow Ms. Legault to continue her report?
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
so move.
Second.
Ms. Legault, proceed.
That's it. If you're going to,
Thank
we're
you.
going to do that, we can get it
Someone,
together.
get the mayor.
Yeah.
Oh, you're good, you're good,
No, no,
because
no.
if that's what it takes, those specific people, then I'm good with that, we just needed to not make a decision on today. Right, right.
That wasn't no big motion.
Yes. Right, right. Right, that's right. Well, I didn't know, but I know we needed to be a part of. You're welcome. Someone get the mayor?
Someone went to get the mayor.
Yeah.
Make a motion to recess.
You with me?
Make a motion to adjourn.
No, that was a joke.
All right. Thank you, Alderwoman Hall, and thank you, Alderman, Alderwomen. We,
Mr. Mayor,
yes, Alderman Frazier.
is it appropriate enough that, Ms. Hall give you a short report on what took
Yes,
place?
it is. Yes.
The board voted to allow Visit Natchez and DNA as members of a new committee to assist Ms. Legault in formulating an ordinance, short-term ordinance.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We now, and thank you, Ms. Legault. That concludes your report. We will now go to Chief Cal Green. Good morning or afternoon now.
It is afternoon. Good afternoon,
Good
Mayor
afternoon.
Ford.
Good afternoon.
I am here to ask for approval to add 6 units to our fleet, to our patrol fleet. One of those units is a replacement for the unit that was the K-9 unit that was totaled earlier this year. And that would be that unit and 5 other patrol units for the police department.
All right. I know we've discussed this already, and the details have been gone over in prior meetings. I think we're ready now just to have that final approval. Alderwoman Smith, you make the motion?
Motion, Mr. Mayor, so moved.
Alderwoman
Second.
Smith has made the motion. Alderman Davis has seconded that motion. Discussion? on the
Yes.
motion? Alderman Frazier?
I just have one question. That
Yes,
vehicle
sir.
was totaled, was it covered by our insurance?
It was.
So we got, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Further discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
So those replacement vehicles, I mean, the new vehicles that we're gonna be purchasing, the 5 other, would
Yes.
those be SUVs or?
They're going to be SUVs,
And they
yes.
will be a part of the,
It's going to be part of the patrol fleet.
okay. which
Yes,
would be
ma'am.
The lease.
Yes, it's going to be
Thank you.
part of the lease,
Thank
yes.
you.
Yes. This will bring our total new vehicles to 16, counting
yes.
the ones that we
already
purchased,
had, yes.
2 years ago, and I still call them new.
Well, they are new to
Well, they
us.
look great. The officers have taken excellent care of them,
They're pretty proud of them.
and we're really grateful for that. Further discussion?
Call for the question?
Question's been called. Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. Chief Green, thank you for all that you're doing. I want to do a shout out to our department heads, by the way, so they're listening. Look forward to seeing y'all at the State of the City. I'm plugging again. This is another commercial break. But Monday, July 24th, we have a lot of good news to share. And we're going to be sharing good news about the police department, the fire department, public works, other departments, and also good news about recreation. And we're about to have a report from Ron Porter, who's our interim recreation director. And so, Mr. Porter, you're recognized.
Good deal.
Good afternoon, Mayor, and Board of Aldermen and women. Just to let you know that I'm not requesting any action at this time. This is just to keep you in the loop as to what I'm presenting with the Board of Supervisors moving forward. As you know, recent events Friday caused the Natchez Adams Aquatic Center to close. Mechanical issues have been diagnosed and we're waiting replacement parts. Those parts were under warranty, so that's not going to cost anything other than time down. Strategies to prevent future closures. Apparently this same part malfunctioned last year. So we currently have an aftermarket part and we bought the existing power assembly, which is everything from the motor all the way to the strainer. If you know anything about pumps, you have a motor, you have the pump unit, and then you have a strainer. So we have a backup motor on hand and the strainer has not been affected. We just need a backup pump or replacement parts for that pump. And I believe that can be purchased for around $500. I said under, it may be over. So that would give us a complete power end assembly on reserve so that we could eliminate this 7 to 10 day downtime. Moving forward, strategies to exceed code compliance. This has nothing to do with the malfunction of the pump system. This is simply to get our chemical levels to the appropriate level consistently. Mr. Ralph Daniels is doing everything manually by hand at this time because our chemical control unit, the test probes on the end of those are broken off, so they're not functioning. They're not allowing the chlorinated tab system to function properly or the acid system that controls the pH to function properly. Replacement parts for those, and this is This is an approximation. This has, I've reached out to a couple of vendors. They couldn't give me a quote, but I did a simple Amazon search, and you're looking for the ORP, oxidation reduction potential, which is basically just a reading of how effective your chlorine is at the time. Comes out to around $400. The pH probe itself comes to about $491. You're looking at almost $900 to $1,000 just to replace those probes. A better solution, and what I would highly recommend moving forward, would be to upgrade the current CAT 2000 controller with a CAT 4000 Wi-Fi controller. This would be remotely controlled and monitored with real-time diagnostics. It automatically records hourly chemical logs to reduce future liabilities. It's a plug-and-play compatibility with our existing system. So we purchased this new system. It's a couple of nuts and bolts and wires, and it's ready to go. This actually includes the 2 test probes that are broken, and they have a 1-year warranty. The cost around this, I've heard everywhere from $2,600 to $4,600. I just wanted to give you guys the high end on that so that you're not shocked when we move forward with this. And I would highly suggest this. Any questions concerning the maintenance or pump systems at the pool?
Alderwoman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Green. I want to thank you for being proactive and trying to figure out a way to prevent this happening again. And all of these suggestions sound good. So without the former agreement, does he go to both boards for approval to spend money? How does that work now?
That is a formal, we're under a formal agreement. He's a liaison.
I know, but I'm asking who he needs to go to get approval.
It'll be both boards.
You gotta go
That's
both.
what I thought.
Right.
Yeah, just
Right.
just for your information, you might know that.
So I'll have to get
already, but
approval
just
from them,
clarify.
and then come back to you guys for final approval.
Yeah.
Okay, unless we call a special
Or
meeting.
Vice versa.
Or vice versa, each motion will need to be pending approval of the
Of
other
the
board.
other.
Okay,
So if
Good
you're
deal.
suggesting a motion, not yet, are you still?
not yet.
Okay.
That'll be in 2
Okay.
weeks.
Okay.
I think we're maintaining
Getting close.
reasonably right now, but moving forward, it would be nice to have this data at your cell phone. You can control it. If an alarm goes off and you're at dangerously low pH or dangerously high pH, you press a button and it activates the system.
Thank you.
Moving on to recent rain events, and I saw in the mayor's report, he wanted to talk about, I'm sorry.
Alderwoman Irving.
I did. So that means for 2 more weeks, the pool would be down if we're waiting for 2 weeks.
No, these are 2 separate systems. The pump system is awaiting the parts to be replaced immediately.
Mhm.
This is looking into the future
Okay.
to prevent other downtime.
Yeah, okay.
Recent rain events at Duncan and Concord. As you know, we've had several trees fall over the past couple of weeks. It seems like every time it rains, these large oak trees drop limbs, some of which have caused significant damage to both the golf course and other city parks. Concord in particular has a huge tree down on a fence. Our contractors are working diligently to get that up. Unfortunately, every time they get out there to do work, we're met with more rain or soggy conditions. And another issue is finding legal dump sites. One of my initial thoughts would be for Parks and Rec to purchase a trailer mounted portable wood chipping device so that some of the limbs that we can handle ourselves could be mulched, reducing the bulk of the waste. And that mulch can in turn be used in erosion control areas, for what am I thinking about? Erosion control, composting at some of our community gardens, and general beautification around some of our flower beds.
Yes,
I got it.
Alderwoman Smith.
What do those cost?
I mean, as much as you want to spend on them.
Yeah.
You can get them from anywhere from $1,300 to $50,000.
I'm
I
sure
definitely
Justin
would
would
suggest a $50,000.
Just get with Justin and y'all talk about
Right.
it. That is
No,
definitely
I got a question.
that maybe he
Absolutely.
can use, or maybe we can't afford. I don't know. We'll just have to look at it.
Yes, sir.
Great suggestion.
No. What I was laughing at, $1,300 for a wood chip. It ain't gonna last long.
That was my next comment.
Yeah, that's what I was laughing at.
That was my next comment.
But my thing is wood chipper. If you're gonna get a wood chipper and one for that that purpose, you need to get with Justin. We're gonna need a commercial wood chipper, not just a plain little cheap wood chipper.
I agree.
But I understand.
I agree 100, but you have to start somewhere.
I
You know, and
understand
if it's all wrist-sized limbs that we can manage, because limbs fall every day.
I was understanding about the mulching part, but I right now we're gonna have to look into the budget because you're talking about wood chipper, and to be perfectly honest with the city of Natchez is in need a whole lot of more equipment than we need because I like to get a limb truck, but I know this ain't in the future. So
I understand completely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Porter, please continue.
And moving on to the good part of things, upcoming events on the back side of the paper. This weekend we have the Stop the Violence bike ride. It's a community outreach event. It's a Saturday, July 15th from 10 to 2. It's a roughly 2.4 mile bike ride. We'll have a DJ on site, jump houses, and hopefully local mental health vendors to in our attempt to spread the word that this violence needs to end immediately. The next upcoming event would be July 20th at 4 p.m. That's the Fry Park, formerly known or also known as the Madison Street Park dedication ceremony. It's going to be dedicated to the Lewis Fry family. Walter Davis will be accepting the award because his family donated that section of town in 1932 to give kids a place to play. Past events, looking back on Live at 5 on the 4th, we had a great time. I don't know who was there. I know a few of you showed up. We had cornhole sets set up for the kids to play. We had 2 disc golf baskets. We had hula hoops. We had Connect Four. We had fresh squeezed lemonade and live music in the background. So I couldn't ask for a better setting for 4th of July.
It was a great event.
Any questions moving forward?
All right.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you for your time.
Outstanding.
Outstanding. Thank you, Mr. Porter. So many good things happening. Also, I see Ms. Bartley came in. Ms. Bartley, did you have anything you wanted to report? I just know all's going well, and we appreciate you. Thank you. We will then now, following our agenda, we will move to city official reports. Alderwoman Hall, you're recognized.
Yes, first I'd like to recognize Chief Cal Green and her department. I think they thwarted a shooting the other night in one of the housing complexes. I just want to thank them again for all of their dedication to this city and putting their lives on the lines every day. And also thank Mr. Burke and Ms. Legault for all of their work on the ordinances that we have recently been completing. They put in a lot of long, hard hours and legal jargon into these documents. I appreciate all of their hard work into this and their dedication. Also, we had our annual MML summer conference a few weeks ago. Went very well. A lot of updated legal, legislative, and ethical information was shared. So if you all have a chance, look at the MML documents. They follow state law. And I'm very proud to be a member of MML. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderwoman Hall. Alderman Frazier.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, mine's gonna be short. I attended the MML conference, but I can say that it was a very informative conference, and I'm gonna shorten my report because when the mayor give his, he gonna give it in more detail about the MML conference.
All right, thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I really don't have anything. Just quickly on the MML, I do want to say down in the future, I would love to see our Parks and Rec have a recreation building. I moderated this class on recreation through, it was Hernando, Oxford, and was it Tupelo? Yes, and they were just talking about, they do revenue shares with the gymnastics folks, belly dancing. I mean, anybody, we have so much talent in Natchez. And so they do a revenue share, 70% to the instructor and 30% to their cities. And I think that's a great idea, but you have to have a location. And I think of all the small businesses here that have had to get buildings across the river to accommodate gymnastics, things like that. So down the road, I hope that will be a goal of ours. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you. Alderwoman Irving?
Oh, okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm gonna start mine off a little bit different, but let me go on and mention MML. We did have a great conference on the coast last week when we had attended. I went to several meetings and got update on adjudicated property. So I do have some things that I want to bring to the board to inquire about with the committee on several properties. And I had asked Mr. Mayor if you would set a meeting with the street commission committee so that we can meet. We had straight line wins on last week and have lots of members of our community that are calling and needing assistance with not coming on their personal property, but to remove debris such as limbs and, all that failed that has pulled to the front of the street to be removed. And so I would like to meet with our committee concerning that. The other thing, the thing that I have mentioned, I know we're approaching our budget season, and I just want to ask, where are we with that? Our budget, whether or not we've gotten new proposed budgets from our department directors?
So I've been working on the master spreadsheet. I've got a few departments that have yet to turn in their requests. And last week, later Thursday of last week, I did receive all of the documentation from the county so I can work on putting together the assessed valuations.
Will we receive a schedule? And the reason why I'm asking, we're getting ready to go back to work in the month of July and August. And so I want to be able to put those dates in my calendar so that I'll be able to attend. Because I know we'll be having financial hearings.
As soon as I have something that's a little more complete for you all to review, then I will get that to you and we'll start setting up those department meetings.
Okay. And then Mayor, I would like to just share a few things I want us to consider this year. Mr. Frazier just brought up a limb truck. I think that's something that we actually need, and whether or not we could consider that in our upcoming budget for this year. A limb truck and also a loader is much needed too. It had been down. Mr. Dollar can speak more on that, but these are some pieces of equipment that we see that we need more often than ever, whether it's erosion or thunderstorms coming through our community. And as Mr. Porter just stated, we have lots of trees falling. And so we need an assistance with that, but our equipment is old. And so maybe look at some programs that he has in place already for a loader, and definitely let's consider getting a limb truck. Also, I want to ask for permission to attend the Mississippi Policy Conference in August. I want to make a motion that, and this policy conference is for anyone who wants to attend, but it's the second week in August. So I would like.
Where is it?
It's on the coast. It's back on the coast.
Okay. And how many days?
It's 3 days.
3 days.
It's 3 days.
That's what it is again.
Mississippi Policy Conference. It's normally in Tunica. It's on the policies that would be implemented within the state legislators for the state of Mississippi. And we attend it every year.
All right. Alderwoman Irving has made that motion. Is there a
Second.
Alderman Frazier has seconded the motion. Discussion on the motion? Call for the question?
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The
Thank
ayes
you.
have it, motion carries.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
And Mr. Mayor, I want to say that the Mountain Jubilee will be this year on July 29th. I do have a flyer, don't have it with me, so I'll get it back here, copy. I want to personally invite each of my colleagues to please attend the event. It begins at 9:30 a.m. with a march from Dr. Martin Luther King Street to the church. There we have, at 10 o'clock, we're going to begin our famous Amos Hope Gospel Hour. He was one of our community members who originally helped start the Mountain Jubilee. So we name the gospel hour after him. And from there, we'll proceed to 50 Minor Street, where we will have lots of festivities, different organizations, and hopefully, Mayor, you're able to attend
I
this year.
have it on my calendar.
So that you will come and do our welcome
Yes.
there and bless our event.
And I believe our annual support for the event is on
It
today's
is.
plate.
And I want to thank the board and you all in advance. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that.
For the work you do.
Yes. our
Thank you.
33rd year.
Alderwoman Irving, we definitely wanted our public works crew to have a chance to catch their breath, get through the storm damage cleanup, and they've done a great job. But you've requested that the street committee meet. If you would coordinate with Jackie Ezell, who's
Okay.
now acting some days as administrative assistant,
Okay.
working with the calendar, and go ahead and get a meeting scheduled that works with your calendar
Okay.
and mine, and we'll move forward with that meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I would ask that that meeting be held, though, prior to 3 p.m. if possible, understanding that our public works director and crew,
Okay.
always, their job day
Okay.
starts at 7 a.m. and runs to 3. Okay,
Is that okay with you, Alderwoman Smith? Okay, all right.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mhm.
Alderman Davis, you're recognized.
No report, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. That leaves us with Alderman of Ward 6, Alderman Maroney.
Thank you. Interesting couple of days, or a few days in Ward 6. There's been a lot of tree trimming going on. There's a tree trimming crew running around. They've been carving up some trees pretty bad. I've got some pretty upset constituents. And I've texted Tim Runnels, and I got a message back from him a little while ago. I'm talking with him. I don't know whether we, as a city, have any say-so in that stuff at all. But I'm gonna make some requests or some recommendations to Tim and see if maybe we can get them to be a little bit more considerate of trimming trees when they're decorative trees in someone's front yard. And maybe, if when they're doing this and they got these crews running around, if they had maybe an arborist or someone with some knowledge of different trees. Because the guys running the trucks, running the saws, they don't know one tree from another. They've got a directive to cut. And I'd like to talk to them about maybe being a little bit more careful in some places. Sometimes cutting them back as far as they cut them back is not necessary due to the type of tree and the nature of that tree, the way that they grow. Sometimes it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
And it really upsets people when they've got this beautiful tree in their front yard and all of a sudden the crew comes through. They don't know, they're at work, they come home and half their tree is gone and it's just been hacked to death.
It's been
And
tough.
I myself had one, but mine's fine.
Yeah.
Mine will recover, it's great myrtle, but I've got some that it's pretty ugly sometimes.
Thank you, Alderman.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
there's,
Alderman.
one more thing I wanted to report from my report.
Yes.
Mr. Rutter did say that the AEDs are in. So I think when that training begins, I think it's appropriate to have our department heads trained on that first.
Mhm.
And then, whoever board member would like to be trained, I know I do on that. I am a nurse, although retired. I want to be trained on the AED. And also, I think we should have CPR training as well, simultaneously when those AED trainings begin.
Okay. Mr. Rutter, if you'll kind of work with us and the vendor for that to take place.
Thank
And
you.
also, we have AMR here, and we appreciate always your service to our community, and perhaps AMR can assist in some of this as well. CPR training is a great idea.
It
Thank you.
is, it really is. And thank you for bringing.
Yes, Alderwoman Smith.
I just had something real quick. I wanted to thank you for something personally for providing a lunch and appreciation day for our public works, police, fire, and Parks and Rec department, our first responders, so to speak. We can't do that with city funds, taxpayers' funds, but our mayor did that on his own pocket, and it meant a lot to those people, and it meant a lot to me that you care enough about them to do that. I think that was fabulous, and
Thank
we appreciate all of our employees. So thank you for doing that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I have to give a lot of credit to Pat and Lisa Miller. They served up a delicious pizza lunch for about 100 people Friday, and it was a great time. Thank you so much. We now have city clerk's report. Madam Clerk?
Yes. Got one thing that is not on my report, so I'll knock it out first. The renewal came for AmFirst Insurance, which is the city's gap insurance. No change from the current rates to the renewal rates. So I'd like to get approval for that.
So
moved.
All right,
Second.
motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion.
What's that rate?
Yeah.
Currently, for the participant, it is $97.48 with a spouse, $195.44, plus children, $180.75, and for a full family, $276.76. Current benefit is $5,500 with $500 deductible. And so that will all remain the same.
All right,
Mr. Mayor.
that's good news, yes.
One thing that
Alderwoman
might
Smith.
spur a conversation on that, is that the one that has the option for lesser?
Yes.
Yeah, because I don't want everybody to start calling.
Right.
Some people have opted to have a lower deductible, so just,
That's
that's
right.
not gonna change.
There are options there, and I'm just so grateful. We are actually 3 years now into this, about to, I guess, start the 4th year.
Yeah, that's great.
And we have piled up savings now that exceed, well, last year we had hit $1 million in savings. I guess we need to look at what that is now. That's savings and taxpayer dollars because we have made our health insurance better and more affordable all at the same time. And I'm so grateful for that. We'll call the question. Call.
Second.
Question's been called. Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Okay.
Next item.
Second item is request for approval of the 1st July claims docket.
What's the pleasure
So
of the board?
moved.
Second.
Alderman Smith made the motion, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion.
Yes. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
I came up on Monday and just gonna mention a few things here. Just want to inquire.
Yes.
On page 27, and I'm just asking, is this a separate payment for what we do for the national?
This is not the appropriation. This is for the cemetery deeds. All of that money comes to the city. We then settle that out to them the following month.
Okay. Okay.
You
Thank
say
you.
cemetery deed?
Yes. Those are the fees collected for cemetery deeds that were sold in June.
Okay. Okay. Page 34. This is police. So we're redoing these things in the police department, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's replacing the condenser pump and all of that.
Mhm.
Okay, because it's been hot out there. Okay.
Yeah.
And page 40. The landscaping services for creative exterior. What location is this?
That is going to be for the bandstand as well as council chambers building.
Okay, thought we approved, and that was a little confusing because I thought we just approved council chambers last week when that was combined, the last budget. We did two, remember? It was
I'll go
like-
back and pull the invoice to give you an exact location.
Okay,
There
'cause
were
I-
multiple locations
we
that were
did.
being done.
It was three
And,
things done, I know,
Okay.
in City Hall and here and one other location, but I thought that was already
Okay,
done.
I'll pull and, shoot you a text and let you know the exact location, but that was all of those locations that were previously discussed and approved.
Okay.
And one of those invoices that are coming through.
Okay, and that ends my questions.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Alderwoman.
Call the question?
The question's been called. Anyone opposed to the call? We'll then proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item.
Okay, next item is request for approval of the 1st July mini claims docket.
So moved.
Second.
Alderman Davis made the motion, seconded by Alderman Smith. Discussion.
Yes.
Yes, Alderman.
Claim number 19912. Is that personnel with us?
Police officer.
Okay, so all these are.
That was for
Okay.
training, they just attended.
Oh, MML?
MML and the police chief conference.
Okay, thank you. That's what I had.
It's a small thing though.
Yes.
Any other?
I got one.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
What is this? I'm looking at it, 1991112. It's say first line supervisor.
Right, that was training that different police officers went to.
Oh,
That was
okay.
the one she just inquired about.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was, yeah, okay, thank you, ma'am.
All right. Any further questions, discussion? We'll call for the question. Call. Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item.
Okay, fourth item is request for approval of the June 2023 hire fire report.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion? All for the question. Call. Question's been called. We'll proceed. Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Alderwoman Smith,
Yeah,
yes.
can I make a request to have the hire date as well on the term report for the term report?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
Can you repeat that, please?
Just to have the hire
Hire
date
date.
on the term report as well. You know, we have it on the hire report, but we
Right.
don't have the hire date on the term.
Gotcha.
Thanks.
Certainly. All right. And I do want to just make a note. We have had two on this report, because it's often asked. We have had two police officers who have resigned,
Mhm.
but we also have during the same time period 1, 2, 3, 4 additional personnel coming into the police. And there are more coming, and more information on that at our State of the City event. But there are some good things happening there in the police department. Yes.
I just,
Alderwoman
while we're
Irving.
discussing the hiring fire report, I just want to ask the animal control. So Mr. Nations is still there as well, so we have two?
Nash Sanders, and we have finally hired another.
Okay.
And so we're now working on the schedule that will allow us to cover not only daytime hours, but evenings and weekends.
Great.
And we are now working to find another used vehicle.
Okay.
Things are moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, we've already voted on it. We'll go to the next item, Madam Clerk.
Fifth and final item is request for approval of the order of the mayor and board of aldermen approving the tax abatement application for the property located at 404 Main Street.
What's the pleasure of the board? Alderwoman Hall has made the motion. Second. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Alderwoman Smith. Any discussion?
Call question.
This is following our special tax abatement program
That's correct.
that helps offset the taxes on new renovations to properties in historic
Correct.
preservation districts.
And so the 404 Main Street location is the bakery on Main Street, Butter Cakery, and there will be an apartment above the bakery.
All right, we'll call for the question.
Second.
Question's been called. Any opposed to that call? Yes. A roll call vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
That's all I've got. The budget status report was sent out just for everyone's review.
Okay. All right.
Ms. Mayor, can I
Yes,
just say that?
Alderwoman Irving.
I have some questions for, and I just was asking the attorney about that. Can we discuss that in our executive session? I just had some questions about it.
About what?
About the
Budget
budget status
status.
report? I mean, yeah, you can get with me anytime and I can.
Well, we
don't need to do it in
We have to be careful what we talk about.
I know, that's
No,
right.
we don't do that.
Okay. Mr. Attorney, do you have a report?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. All right, hold on. Got the mayor's report. Alderman Frazier said there was gonna be some information coming.
Yes, indeed.
That was his, that was the alderman's, warning. Sure. We have a lot to report on. First of all, I want to ask everyone now to welcome Lee Hash back to the board meetings. And Mr. Hash, I'm already getting some input that people are loving the look on Facebook. So obviously you're doing a great job, and he's assisted today. Remind me. Okay, Alex, it's a pleasure to have you today. Mr. Hash has worked with the city a number of years and is now stepping in to assist us, and we are very grateful. The mayor's report. Yes, we went to the Mississippi Municipal Summer Conference. Normally I'd have some pictures, but we haven't worked all that out yet. I'll be posting them on Facebook probably tomorrow. But it was a pleasure to be on the coast with all of our city officials. And it's an important meeting. Several, 2,000-3,000 people come from all over the state, and we learn valuable things. And it's so important going to those sessions. And also this year was extra special because it's an election year, and we got to hear from candidates for statewide office and meet a number of them. I want to give a shout out. I guess I'm included in this list, but we did have 3 officials graduate from one level or another of the Mississippi Municipal Certification Program to receive our certified municipal officials designation. And so Alderwoman Hall has now received her basic. I have received my basic, and Alderwoman Smith, because of her tenure, is now completed with advanced, which means she's
I've done advanced,
Mm-hmm.
professional, which means she now has done all of the levels, and so that's a good thing. It's a good thing. I know Alderwoman Irving, you received your basic.
Oh, no, sir. I'm finished.
And
I
professional.
got all mine the first
All
4
of hers,
years.
the first 4 years, and others have. It's a great thing, and it's great for Natchez. It really is. And so, and it was great having Alderman Maroney on the coast for his first conference. I think he enjoyed it. So good to meet other mayor, city officials. And I want to just say that as a result of that meeting, we now are organizing a meeting of the Southwest Mayors Association that will be held here in Natchez.
Awesome.
Mark it down, the last Wednesday of August. And we're inviting mayors and aldermen and city officials, police chiefs, public works to come to Natchez for a day-long summit starting at 9:30 at the convention center and lasting until 4. And we're getting great response.
What date is it?
And that will be August 30th. Which is a Wednesday. And that all came about as a result of meetings on the coast and getting with neighboring mayors and understanding, for example, what they're struggling with in Fayette, in Port Gibson, Woodville, Centerville, Meadville, and on across, Brookhaven, Macomb, Monticello, and others. And so we're looking forward to having them here. We are confirming now speakers, and they will be speakers that can help on state issues, federal issues, grant issues, and issues pertaining to police, to fire, to public works, and also we're going to be having 2 or 3 seasoned mayors from other cities in the state attend. So we're looking forward to that. Okay. Update on, and yes, and I hope all of you will come.
I won't be on the 10. I'll be at school.
I understand. Update on damage from June 27th storm event. I'll never forget being on the coast, and actually I was sitting there with Alderman Frazier and Alderwoman Irving when Alderman Frazier got news that a tree had hit the rear of his home. And I hope all is well, Alderman Frazier.
I'm working on it, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And it was then we found out while we were on the coast that Natchez was getting hit with some straight line winds. And our hearts go out to those who have been affected. That evening, we were on the phone with Entergy, with Public Works. And I just want to say, Justin Dollar, you and your men, they were out in that weather till 2, 3 in the morning. They were assisted by fire, by police to keep streets safe. We had a lot of power down. Now, that's coming. Before 8 o'clock the next morning, I had a call from Haley Fisackerly, the CEO of Energy, assuring me that we would be restored as quickly as possible. Haley and I, have been friends a while. I think he's even more partial to his old roommate here, Brian Calloway. He had reported that we hit a peak of 6,000 without power sometime in the night. They worked through the night to get that number down to 3,000. But he said, I am sending crews from everywhere. Within the next few hours, it really surprised people. Why are so many trucks just parked up at Cash Savers? It's because we had so many trucks come from all over the region. They consolidated into crew vehicles. They started working the city, and in 48 hours, they had everybody back on except for 2. And those came the 3rd day. It's tremendous. And having just been on the coast and hearing from mayors who have been so frustrated about power outages lasting for days, I just want to say it's so important to maintain these relationships. And that relationship with Energy is powerful. And yes, we are very grateful to all of them, Tim Runnels, to Craig Gilbert, and to all of those who work so hard. We are talking to them about the tree trimmers. Alderman Maroney, they're very aware of the complaints there. Thank you. We had damage at Watkins Street Cemetery. And as you know, the city, just a year ago, following state law, we were able to take on a portion of upkeep to that cemetery. Well, sadly, there is no way that the damage that occurred during that storm can be cleaned up by the volunteers. We have a legal means, and it is a resolution that will allow us to address the debris removal, and that's the resolution I'm looking for. And this resolution has been prepared by the city attorney, and it will allow the city to assist this abandoned, we use that term because there is no longer a viable structure for satisfactorily maintaining that cemetery at this present time. So this allows us to go in and to remove the tree debris, and we will spend $3,000 utilizing the same contractor that now provides services to the cemetery. I need a motion approving that resolution that will allow us to proceed with the
I'd like to
cleanup.
make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that we approve the resolution addressing debris removed from the Watkins Street Cemetery.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier, and seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion?
Yes. Mr.
Yes,
Mayor.
Alderman Frazier.
It's not a discussion. I would just like to simply, if the board feels vote on this, I would just simply like to state that it is much appreciated if, for the removal of those debris from the Watkins Street Cemetery. Since that is in my ward, it is probably one of the next oldest cemetery in the city of Natchez. I don't know if it's the oldest or the next oldest, but the members and my constituents in Ward 2 would deeply appreciate this. Not only my constituents, but looking at it from all over, whoever have loved ones that buried in there should be appreciative to the city of Natchez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman
Mr.
Frazier,
Mayor.
for those kind words.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
Okay,
Alderman.
would you explain again this resolution? Because we already haven't, by law, we're already permitted to go into that cemetery, and we have a contract with David
I'll ask
Jenkins.
Mr. Calloway to address that.
We approved declaring that this is an abandoned, and again, that is a fickle word because we're not saying there's nobody to take care of it. We did that, and we authorized specific spending according to that statute for upkeep and maintenance. This is a separate, totally different expense. We're still making the finding that it's abandoned. You recognize we've done it before, but we're authorizing another expense pursuant to that statute.
Okay, thank you.
For this event.
It's a
One time for this event.
Okay,
one
thank
time
you.
expense. Thank you. We'll call for the question.
Call.
Any opposed to the call? We'll proceed to a vote. We need a roll call vote, being this is a resolution. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Fraser. Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Had a good visit with Mr. Monroe Sego, by the way, yesterday, who expressed appreciation for how we are working to help maintain that cemetery where so many victims are buried from the Rhythm nightclub incident from 1940. He did express a concern about the condition of crepe myrtle trees in the cemetery. I do want you to know that we are looking into that because, as we know, the blight on crepe myrtle trees is a real thing, and we don't want to lose those. And we may have further reports for you coming in the future. The next item, we don't need any action from you, but I just want to make you aware that we are working with David Jenkins also in cleaning up down trees. Has already been mentioned at Concord Park and also Duncan Park, and we are doing that. Within numbers that fall below the need to bid, the jobs. We hope that that work will be completed in the very near future. At that point, we then have to look at how to restore one of the holes there at the golf course that was completely destroyed by an uprooted tree during the storm. We don't have any estimates yet on that, but we will have them hopefully by next meeting. Also, one of the trees affected an area of the disc golf course, but I believe it will be all put back in order once the tree is removed. And we are grateful to the volunteers who work out there all over the park to help us.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman.
I think Mr. Brookings said he does plan to continue to have the Natchez open.
Okay, good. We need now to discuss Forks of the Road. Had a good meeting with Kathleen Bond last week. There is a property there, a parcel that belongs to the city, where there is an old historic footbridge. It's a brick bridge that has asbestos-containing conduit on it. The conduit is owned by AT&T, and they have agreed to abate that. And we are working with the Trust for Public Land to monitor that abatement process. And so we need approval to grant access license to the Trust for Public Land. And so Alderwoman Irving has made that motion, seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Once we sign this, we are hopeful that that work can proceed. Further discussion?
It's,
Yes.
that's this here?
Yes,
Okay,
it
I was
is.
just trying to figure out where.
Yeah,
that was.
the
Okay.
the bridge you'll see is in that area 104, 113, 104, 15.
Right.
And once that is cleaned, it then clears the way for us to better restore that bridge. By the way, this was a part of our raise grant application, restoring this bridge. We are not giving up on that. We will be working with our engineering firm by the end of August, working through a debriefing on why we were not successful in getting the raise grant, and by September, beginning the application for a new raise grant. And so let's hope that we can get this raise grant next year for the Forks of Freedom Corridor. I do want to congratulate our friends in Laurel and Meridian who were successful in getting the raise grant. We are told that we were very likely number 3. Not bad on your first try. Laurel was on its 4th try to get the grant they received, and Meridian also had a number of tries. So we're grateful. We're making progress. I'll call for the question. Anyone opposed to the call will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. We're going to wrap this up with just a few other brief updates. Animal control. We are making progress with Johnny Waycaster on a punch list that will be estimated. We will know very soon how we can proceed with renovations to a building that's been purchased by the Natchez Adams County Humane Society. This building will be made available now that we have 2 animal control officers for the housing of animals that the city animal control department picks up, and there's no room at the current facility. We're hoping to have this in place. I've been hoping that it would be by now, but it takes time to get a lot of work has to go in to make sure the building meets standards for humanitarian housing of these animals and separation of the animals and proper plumbing and proper ventilation and proper heating. So we're working through that. This is very likely going to be a project borne by the Community Development Fund, and we have been very grateful for the spirit of enthusiasm Magnolia Bluffs Casino and Tim Morrissey have had for this project. In the meantime, as we work toward that, we are in the claims docket today was a substantial donation to Natchez Spay Neuter. I believe in the amount of $3,500.
I would have to look
Yeah,
back through
it
and say
was.
for sure.
I mean, we are stepping up our contributions there. I'd like to step those contributions up more. Every donation to Natchez Spay Neuter results in anywhere from 5 to 6 less homeless animals on our streets, dogs and cats. We also will be meeting very soon with Hoofbeats Paw Prints on strategies to continue transporting animals that are here in Natchez Adams County to other areas of the country for adoption. And so these are all strategies we're working on going forward. And I just want to thank all of those who support the Humane Society and are helping us in this effort. Yes, the July 4th event was great, Ryan. I want to thank Richard Burke. I want to thank Sarah Lindsay, Lockoff, and the Public Works crew, police, all who worked to make this a safe event, and all of our entertainers and music. But also, I tell you, Ryan, the kids loved it. It was a very diverse crowd. The fireworks were great. Sabrina Dore. We got to keep this going.
They were.
And it was open. It was free. It was for the entire community. And I have heard so many positive things. And we're just so grateful for that. And Arden Barnett for his generous support. State of the City, I'll say it again, come to the City Auditorium, July 24th at 5:30 p.m. We're going to be looking for department heads and others who support the city because I'm doing some shout outs for you. And I see Devin, he's smiling because he knows he's going to be getting a major shout out. So grateful for tourism, for DNA, for the Chamber, for Natchez Inc. I could go on, and I probably will on July 24th. I want to give a report on lighting of the bridge. It's a disappointing report, but also an encouraging report. Disappointing in that we were hoping that just last year we got a $500,000 appropriation, and just this week we found out that what we thought we could do within that budget we can't do, and it's a projection of light onto the bridge. And we have been quietly working with some MDOT engineers. Justin Walker with Volkert have been working on this with us, along with Stacy Conde, a local artist and consultant. It has proven to be cost prohibitive. There are so many factors, and no wonder. We thought we might become the first major bridge in the country to illuminate using light projection, but that probably now won't happen because of the cost figures. We are back to looking at more traditional measures. But I'm encouraged. We are still working with Curtis Stout, and I will be bringing to you very soon. And James, I'm going to ask you to help me with this. That 500,000, you use it or you lose it, and we don't want to send it back. So we're going to go ahead and start phase 1, which is going to be the engineering reports, all of the papers, qualifications. I think we have to get approvals from everyone, including the Coast Guard and the Army Corps of Engineers. We'll be working on that in the very near future, and that $500,000 will be used to fund phase 1. Once we get phase one, which is the approval, design, all of that done, phase two, we will need more funds, and we will be seeking those funds. And we're more likely to get those funds after we have completed the design and approval of design phase. So just stay tuned because we're not giving up. I want to thank citizens for their patience with trash collections. We've had some issues over the last 2 weeks, equipment issues, and we also have had issues with personnel. And with the holiday, it threw them behind even more. But I had a very good meeting with Jimmy Moore with Arrow Disposal yesterday in my office. And as of yesterday evening, all of the issues we've been dealing with were supposed to have been resolved. If anyone is still having a garbage issue, please call the mayor's office or call your alderman, report it, let us know so that we can follow up wherever we're still having issues. Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I want to ask, could ADSI provide in advance dates that they're not going to pick up trash and maybe list it, so that's something we can put on our website?
Sure, that's a good
We've done that
idea.
before, probably with Mrs. Legault, the city planner, and get those dates in advance, because we got Labor Day coming up, we
Right.
got the Christmas holidays coming up, and we respond differently when we
Yeah.
know in advance what's going on.
It's a good idea. And in fact, we are working on behind the scenes a redesign of our website and a new way of posting on our website. It's a work in progress, but we do want to make more of this available to our public. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Last, I do want to say this. We're excited. 2 weeks ago, this board approved to launch an ambitious light improvement project that will replace existing amber lighting with more modern LED lighting for almost half of our city. We are working with energy on that even as we speak. We hope to have all the final plans, cost, everything done. The board has already approved it. We are encouraged that it will likely come in lower than we anticipated in cost because we have refined the street list, because inadvertently some streets were on the list that were actually county streets.
Right.
And we're going to let the county deal with their streets. We're going to deal with our streets. But we hope to have that project underway within the next month. I just want to give that report. That
ends your report.
And that ends my report. We are going to have an executive session, but yes,
I want to address two things. One is, when will we see streets being paved? When will we see that actually beginning?
it's a great question, and I should have included that. We will have Public Works is having a strategy meeting tomorrow. It is a pre-con meeting, pre-construction meeting. We will know exactly tomorrow when this project will start, but get ready. We are going to have a groundbreaking for this project.
Okay.
Sometime we think within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
We'll know more tomorrow.
I was just, that's been a concern I've received from several community members.
And while you're on the subject, I've gotten, even last night at an event, people asking about streets that aren't on the list. Yes, we can't do all the streets. Hopefully we can do more than we thought because of the good bid we got. But I do want everyone to know that going into this new budget, we have asked Public Works to develop some proposals for major streets that are traveled for repair, some resurfacing, some microsurfacing, some restriping. And that includes Homachita, it includes Canal, it includes Jeff Davis Boulevard. It also includes Main Street, Franklin Street, and the cross streets downtown between Main and Franklin. We aren't promising we're going to do this, but we are looking at what those estimates are and if there's any way we can incorporate that into our budget for the next year. Just saying. All right.
I had one other thing.
I've gotten the, Alderman Davis said we're done.
I've got one other thing.
All right, Alderwoman
It's
Irving.
an announcement, just to know you, because everybody had this in their
Yes.
mailbox, but I do want to read it. It's Congressman Benny D. Thompson, open house, Natchez District Office. It said, please come out to visit my new office and meet Ms. Jacqueline Mossaw, my field representative for Adams at Mid, Franklin, and Wilkerson counties, July 21st, 2023, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. 208 Linda Lee Drive, room 41, Natchez, Mississippi. For more information, contact Ashley Shelby. The telephone number, it's on there, but please come by and visit the open house session that Congressman Benny Thompson is having at 208 Linda Lee Drive. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank
That is
you.
my
I
report.
RSVP'd for that event a month ago. We're looking forward to that event. We also, I do want to say, Mr. Fred Butcher did send a very nice thank you note thanking us for the key to the city presented to him at his last meeting of the Natchez Adams School District Board last month. And we wish Mr. Butcher all of the best. And we are excited to be working with interim director Zan McDonald, and we continue to applaud what's happening in our schools. We now need to go into executive session. It will be a closed determination, and then we'll come back and make a report. The reason being that we do have a personnel matter at City Hall to discuss, actually 2 personnel matters at City Hall. And we also have a contract matter pertaining to communications services for the city that we need to discuss. We will meet with the attorney, determine if these meet the requirement for executive session, and we'll make a report. We will, at this time, we will conclude the live portion that is being filmed. Yes, Mr. Callaway?
Somebody needs to make the motion first.
So moved. Okay, all right. Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Irving, to go into a closed determination, and then we'll make a report. And then all in favor, call for the question. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. We will do this a different way. When I come back, we will simply have on Facebook Live a brief report of what has been decided. We may actually have a Facebook Live of the actual report of closed determination, and then we'll have a report on Facebook Live at the very end of what was the result. Thank you so much.